Lately, you might have noticed that a lot of tech is either being delayed or facing a shortage in its production, the latest being Apple's new iPhone, which could be delayed for the first time since 2011. All of this is being caused by one little thing that is proven to be an extremely important part of the modern global economy. Let me introduce you to the highly demanded product known as semiconductor. And to no surprise, anything with high demand is an engine for geopolitical tensions. So let's dive into what's becoming the new oil of the world. Without getting too deep into the science behind what a semiconductor is, the product is usually comprised of silicon, which comes from sand. In simple terms, a semiconductor conducts electricity in a specific way that makes it perfect for electronic devices. From smartphones and laptops to TVs and cars, semiconductors are crucial for any electronic device you can think of. It dominates all industries, even military aircraft such as the American F-35. The world wouldn't be where it is without semiconductors. However, this insane demand has been halted by many factors, such as the pandemic and the rising geopolitical tensions that are making the supply of these chips more complicated. Now, just to have a quick recap of the history of this industry, just geographically it has evolved and shifted a lot. The roots of this technology actually come from the United States, when the transistor was first invented in 1947. However, the industry has expanded much more since the 2000s, specifically towards East Asia. By 2010, East Asia accounted for over 80% of the manufacturing worldwide. In 2020, Taiwan and South Korea are the two largest producers. This is a graph showing the biggest foundry companies in 2020. TSMC is dominating this industry by 54%. And guess who are the biggest clients they work with? Apple, AMD, Qualcomm, and Nvidia. All of these companies are of course founded and based in the US. TSMC is estimated to earn $17 billion from just Apple in 2022. So yeah, Europe and the United States are almost completely dependent on taking their chips from Asia. The US is very much aware of this reliance and they are quite worried about it. The Biden administration's 100-day supply chain review report says the United States is heavily dependent on a single company, TSMC, for producing its leading-edge chips. This is why they made a deal with TSMC to establish a manufacturing base in the US. This is scheduled to be completed in 2024 after it got delayed. Now, understanding the strong presence that Taiwan has is crucial for understanding an important piece of the puzzle, the tech war between the US and China. The US has clearly expressed its intentions in constraining China's technological development and limiting them as much as they can from competing in the industry. In 2019, the US have forced sanctions on Huawei, specifically cutting them from TSMC's manufacturing, which resulted in banning Huawei from 5G networks. The US even went and encouraged other countries to stop using their services. What was the reason, you might ask? Well, the US claims that Huawei is posing a security risk because it's completely controlled by the Chinese government. Now, whether this claim is true or not, or whether the sanctions are really made to improve security, these sanctions prove that the US doesn't want China to lead the global markets. But actually, China isn't necessarily in a weak position. The fact that Apple, the largest tech company in the US and in the whole world, is very much addicted to China. Apple is counting on more than 1 million workers manufacturing its products in China. The COVID-19 shutdowns in China are mainly why Apple might be forced to delay some of its products, like the iPhone. Now, this shows an important problem regardless of the pandemic. This reliance on China is up to risk all the time, whether it's a virus spreading or simply a political tension. If China decided to flip the table on the US, they are absolutely capable of doing that. I mean, yes, China would absolutely damage itself by banning Apple or any US firm, but still, just the fact that they have so much power is already a problem for the US. Now, understanding all of that brings us just in time for the crisis of Taiwan. Taiwan finds itself in the middle of this tech war between China and US. And just to explain the history between China and Taiwan very briefly, even though Taiwan sees itself as a self-governed state, China claims that it's still part of its territory and they refuse to let go. Apparently, they don't seem to have a problem with even using force to achieve what they call the unification of their nation. China is flexing its military force around the island of Taiwan. Soon after this, the Speaker of the US House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi, visited Taiwan as a way to show support. China, of course, was not happy about this. They declared several military exercise areas that are basically trapping Taiwan. This is very serious, like this is getting to the level of Russia-Ukraine war. And if this tension becomes even worse, massive semiconductor manufacturing is in danger as well. So any disruption of supply due to military force by China would have a huge impact on Apple's products and possibly the whole world. Apple is basically watching its toy being slowly torn apart, and they can't do much about it. This tech war is proving to be bigger than simple sanctions. The digital technologies are becoming an extremely valuable currency in the world. That is why semiconductors have been repeatedly described as the new oil of the 21st century. I can argue that it's possibly even more valuable than oil. And when you have only few companies in a limited area that supply the whole industry, like TSMC, all the eyes will turn on just that spot. So, specifically after the pandemic, when the industry realized how fragile things can get, the US and several tech companies are planning to start manufacturing internally. But this process will obviously take a lot of time. Escaping the current reliance on Asia will be a tough mission to fulfill. Anyway, no one knows what's going to happen about all of this tension. Will China invade Taiwan? And what will the US be willing to do if that happens? What if the Russia-Ukraine war scenario repeats itself again? And what about Apple? Are they going to keep delaying products? And will this affect their future? We can only speculate. Let us know what you think about this situation in the comments. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next video.